What's up everybody, welcome to the altcoin video. Now in the market update video earlier that I posted this week, I mentioned that to expect a video doing an analysis on altcoins to see whether or not there are some opportunities on these altcoins. And in this video, we're going to cover three in specific. The first one's going to be WOO. We're also going to talk about ENS and also RUNE. And if you guys want a chance for your altcoin to be featured in one of these videos in an analysis, make sure you follow me on Twitter at _theartofcrypto, because before I make a video like this, I always post on Twitter and ask you guys what you guys want to see. So without any further ado, let's dive right into WOO. So right off the get-go, let's take a look at the big picture scenario. At the moment, we have 2 points of liquidity. One is down here at 0.111 and also 0.1. The other one here is at 0.2667. One could even say that at the moment we are trading in between these two areas. Now, price is either going to reach for this one or it's going to reach for this one. You can also say that we are at range lows at the moment, where price has been, mostly trading between these two areas. So utilizing the information that we have just off of the high time frame, it would be reasonable to expect that because price has been forming, lower lows, lower highs so far, and because we are expecting Bitcoin to come down, if you want to know more about that, we already made a video about it earlier this week, check it out. Then it would be safe to assume that the altcoins will also start to bleed. And if that is the case, then this is going to be the ultimate target of choice for WOO. So long story short, we will short this until we hit this target, but at the same time, it is also good to consider some bullish possibilities. One, the bullish case is the fact that you have just swept the range lows. The markets always fluctuate between areas of liquidity to the next area of liquidity. Liquidity is the only thing that moves the markets. So once you take out the liquidity at a certain area, smart money no longer has a need to continue dumping the market slower, because simply put, there is nobody else to stop out. Here's what you need to understand about the markets. The people that are manipulating these markets and the people that are controlling these markets only make money if you lose money, which means it is in their best interest to make as many people lose money as possible. So they're always going to be looking for the next highest point of liquidity, always. And in this case, the liquidity points are going to be right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. Like, just you get a bunch of clean swing highs, and these will eventually be swept. The question is when. Here's what you look for in order to confirm a bullish situation. I want you to mark out this level right here at 0.1866, and all you have to do is set an alert on WOO like that. Once price goes above this level, all you want to look for is some kind of a retracement into, ideally a fair value gap, because when you have a fair value gap, it indicates displacement. For example, if you take a look at this candle here, it is a pretty strong candle, but in the strong candle, you also leave behind a fair value gap, right? Now, I know that this did not get filled because you were reaching for a lower target, but assuming that our bias, once it comes up above this level and we look for a retracement in a fair value gap, assuming that our bias has shifted to the upside, that fair value gap is going to be the sign that we need to prove that the market makers are in on this move. So we don't want to see just like a slow, like a slow crawl up here, and then, this liquidity gets taken out and then it's just going to continue dumping to form new lows. What we want to see is strong movements, right? Strong movements that creates a obvious fair value gap for an eventual retracement and then going up, right? But this is the level that you want to break. It doesn't matter if you don't get a daily candle body close. Ideally, you do get a daily candle body close above here, and then you look for a retracement. Now, there might still be a chance where you sweep these lows before going higher. Either way, once this happens, and let's say you do sweep those lows, then it's going to be a pretty safe bet to take a long either there or just at the fair value gap here. At the moment though, that is completely unconfirmed, and you want to lean towards shorting until at least that level is broken up above. Now, you can also apply this same concept into the 4-hourly chart by simply looking at levels where you would have a internal market structure shift. So for example, if you read market structure in this sense, where you have swing high, that's a low, that's a high, that's a low, sorry, that's a high, and then right now you formed a low there and then a high and a low, right? So at the moment, internal market structure shift would be a break above that high before a retracement and then forming new highs, right? So the moment, the level that you want to look at, in case that you're not looking at somewhere as far as there, because trust me, because here's the fact, if you are trading on the daily chart, chances are you're probably going to be holding on to the trade for at least a few weeks up to a few months. So what if you're someone who's trading on a shorter time frame? Here's the beauty of the 4-hourly chart. It strikes a perfect balance between a time frame that is high enough where you can still get the big picture, because the market makers are also looking at the 4-hourly chart as their higher time frame alongside the daily chart, the weekly chart, and the monthly chart. Now, even though it is high enough to be a high time frame, it is also low enough to give you nuance and to give you speed on execution so that you don't miss a move move, for example, it might take weeks or months for something to happen on the daily chart, but on the flip side, it will only take at most weeks for something to happen on the 4-hourly chart. So on the 4-hourly chart, what you want to look for is mark out this high here at 1675, and if this high gets broken above, and that is your first cue, right? It doesn't mean just go long directly here to look for a potential retracement into a higher high. So that is the situation for Woo. And if, of course, I already mentioned this earlier, the ultimate target for Woo, if you want to take a swing trade, is going to be here at 2667. But any of these previous swing highs, meaning, this swing high here at 1960, 2060, 2092, have 2220, even 2500. Those are all going to be ideal just take profit points. Now, all of these are going to be recovered at some point in time. Like, the markets just, I kid you not when I say they simply move between liquidity areas. For example, you have swing low, swing low, swing low. Yep, eventually, even though you do pump, eventually you do come back to recover all of them. For example, right here, you sweep the liquidity over there. Right here, you sweep the liquidity over there and there at once. So that is the analysis on Woo. Now let's move on to something that is a little bit more interesting, and that's going to be ENS. Now, the reason why ENS is a little bit more interesting has to do with its tokenomics. But before I do get into the tokenomics, let's talk about the price action for the moment. So you can see that ENS, ever since that it was released, now mind you, this is a decent project with a decent use case, but the thing that holds this project back is simply the tokenomics. The tokenomics on this is absolutely horrendous, but it is not as bad as some like Arbitrum. But either way, let's take a look at what's going on with ENS. Now, there are two ways to look at this, as always. One is that you are trading at the moment between a range low and a range high, where most of the price action at the moment is concentrated within these two areas. And when you are trading within a range, it is always safe to assume that you will stay in the range until it doesn't. At the moment though, because of the fact that we are expecting a dump on Bitcoin, again, the details of that is going to be in Monday's video, then we might expect this range low to get broken through and for price to go into negative price discovery. So far, that's exactly what ENS has been doing, where you just when you have a low, you just create new lows and it's just negative price discovery. This is the sad reality for many altcoins, especially in a bear market. So would it be surprising to see ENS go into a just negative price discovery and just dump till I don't even know where? Like, a good potential target for ENS, if it does dump, it's going to be about right here at 470 and also 267. Now, this is a concept known as fib extensions, and in this case, I'm using standard deviation extensions to predict the bottoms and tops of coins that are in positive and negative price discovery, respectively. It is a very good method, although it is a bit of an advanced method. So that is the bearish case, and I will add this little bit of, confluence to the bearish case on ENS. So if you take a look at ENS, this is how its tokenomics look like. And basically, ENS is fighting a very, very hard uphill battle, in the sense that every single day there are going to be more and more ENS tokens unlocked, and every single day it's going to become harder and harder for ENS just to maintain its current price. Now, just to put it into perspective, as of the time that ENS launched, which was back in November, the end of 2021, until right now, it has been about 2 years, the circulating supply for ENS has doubled. That means that as of its current market cap, right? In fact, let's just look at the market cap from back then. Do we have data on that? Yeah, we definitely have data. So at the time that it launched, right, just to show you how significant tokenomics is, as of the time that ENS launched, it had a market cap of about $2.26 billion, and the circulating supply is at about 30 million tokens. Now, if you assume that the market cap stays the same with current tokenomics, which is just a little bit above 60 million, so let's say double, you would need an extra $2.26 billion just to maintain the current price, right? Maintain. I'm not talking like 2.26 billion to, double the price, right? 2.26 is just to maintain the current price, assuming that nobody sells, which is impossible. So you look at ENS right now, the fact that it's in a bear market, the fact that people are not necessarily looking to buy altcoins, the fact that you have a lot of airdrop holders who are actually also in a loss at the moment because ENS has never been lower than when it first released. All of this adds up to just a very tough uphill battle, and this uphill battle is going to continue on until 2025, the end of 2025, before the token is almost fully unlocked, which means for the next basically 2 years, don't see ENS as being a good token to go long, to hold, or even just invest in, because again, you are fighting an uphill battle. Tokenomics is one of the sole reasons that many altcoins from the 2021 bull market will never make a full recovery back to their all-time highs. Sand is a perfect example of that. I made a video on Sand, by the way. I will link it down in the description box below. I highly recommend you check it out, but basically basically I was saying that video is literally called the easiest short that you will see for the rest of 2023. And it's basically just shorting sand the moment this white line happens. And this white line is called a cliff unlock. The moment that happens, boom, right? It's so easy. It's brain dead. You don't even need any kind of trading knowledge. Basically for the next, like even right now, if you want to short sand, you're not too late. For the next 90 days, just short it down to like 0.19 or even 0.15. There is a pretty high likelihood that sand is going to go there within the next 90 days or so. And I have data to back this up. All of these white lines here are cliff unlocks, which means the tokenomics go to absolute shit when stuff like this happens. And you can see that every single major sand dump, like for example, once the white line happens, boom, right? For the next like 90 to 120 days, it just dumps by like 70%. And then once again, that is the exact top for sand. And over the next 123 days, it dumps by 60%. Again, that is the major dump for sand, where you just dump, like you just lose a ton of just market cap. And this is very normal. Again, this goes to show the importance that tokenomics has on a token that you want to invest in. So if there are any tokens that you want to buy and hold, please make sure to check out the tokenomics. And if you want a more in-depth guide on tokenomics, I will actually be making a video about that soon. So make sure you subscribe, drop a like on this video, and stay tuned for that video. But otherwise, that video that I talked about with sand is a very good preface into the topic of tokenomics and how to use it to find high probability shorts. So in this case, you have the aspect of tokenomics backing up the short on ENS, basically down to say $5 or like $5.50. That is the target that we came up with once we drew our fib extension, which is actually about $4.60. So I'm just going to mark out this line, and that's going to be pretty much target number one. And just to, again, I'm not pulling things out of my ass when I talk about this stuff. Let's draw a fib from that high to that low, check out the fib extensions, check out the bottom, right? We do form a temporary bottom at the negative 0.5, and then I'm pretty sure, okay, we haven't reached the -1 yet, so, oh no, there's not even a -1, that's literally negative. So yeah, like using fib extensions and standard deviation extensions, we pretty much predict the bottom. And if we look at the 0.618 extension, that is pretty much the bottom, right? If the 0.5 is a temporary bottom, that is the bottom. So yeah, this is an advanced concept. Once you learn how to use it, you will figure out how to predict tops and bottoms. At the moment, this is not like an incredibly important skill, because this matters more in a bull market when you need to predict possible tops in price discovery. But for now, just understand that at the moment, in my opinion at least, the odds that ENS is going to go down from here on out is just a little bit higher than the odds that it's going to go up. But we do not want to disregard the upside as well, and we don't want to just fall into a bias. So towards the upside, what do you want to look for? Basically, mark out this level right here at 7.85. This is the exact same concept as before, where you want to look for an internal market structure shift. Now, just having a market structure shift above this level might still be dangerous, because you do have a fair value gap here where you will fill in if you do break above that high. So what do I mean by that? So maybe if you do break above this high. So here's what you need to understand actually. In any sell program, basically when the market is forming new lows and lower highs, during sell programs, buy-side liquidity sweeps tend to lead to lower lows. What is a buy-side liquidity sweep? Right there, that's buy-side liquidity, and that is also buy-side liquidity. So why is that? Well, once you take out all of the people that have their stop losses here, the market makers all of a sudden now have a lot of fuel in order to drive the markets down lower, and that's why you will tend to see in a sell program, once you have buy-side liquidity sweeps, there tends to be a very explosive move to the other way. So in this case, this will actually serve as a very good short entry, where if you return back to the 7.9 to about $8 area, you will have swept buy-side liquidity, and you will have filled in a fair value gap and also get rejected off of this order block. So this is a very high probability short, in the sense that you could probably place a stop something like that, and then targeting something lower down there at -0.5. That is about a 42% move, worth about 10R with this exact stop loss. That is the setup that we will look for on a short. But otherwise, the area that you want to look for in order to confirm absolutely confirmed, change your character, absolutely confirmed market structure shift, it's going to be right here at 8.34. I know that is a long way away, but ENS at the moment is fighting a very strong uphill battle. You just want a very clear move from ENS, proving that it's going to the upside. One of those moves that you cannot doubt, right? One of those moves that is so strong, that is so certain that you cannot doubt. That is what you want to look for on ENS if you do want to go for a long. Although one other thing that is backing a ENS long, and in confluence, as one might say, is the fact that you have taken out range lows, and usually when you take out the range lows, you tend to return back to range highs. But either way, same setup, for me personally, I wouldn't necessarily look to take a trade right now, right here, but if it does break out of this, I'll look for a retracement and I'll take the trade, or I'll simply wait for a buy side liquidity sweep and then take a short down to that area right there. Either way, these are both pretty high probability trades. The only thing that is going to screw you up is the lack of patience to wait for the setup to form before you jump in. But if you do have the patience, I am sure that you will do incredibly well. Now, before I move on to the next coin, a lot of the concepts that I've discussed in this video I actually taught all to you for absolutely free in my free course, Trading Accelerator. We have had a ton of people that have came into the course and basically say that it's worth more than a $5,000 course. It's that good. There's no fluff, there's no BS, it's just pure value. It'll basically make you profitable within 4 weeks, and you will learn everything you need to know about liquidity concepts, how to predict highs and lows, order blocks, fair value gaps, you name it, market structure, it's all there, alongside an absolutely amazing community. If that sounds like something interesting to you, you should sign up to the waitlist down in the description box below, because in order to maintain the quality, we are controlling the quantity. But otherwise, let's move on to the last and final coin. Now, this coin is going to be RUNE, and RUNE, for those of you who remember, had a very aggressive move towards the upside for the past couple of months, and at the moment it has sort of calmed down a little. So what is the next move for RUNE? Well, first things first, we have a high and then we have a low level, right? RUNE is at the moment either going to reach for this level or it's going to reach for that level, and it's our job here to determine where it's going to go. Now, there is, as always, a bullish scenario and a bearish scenario. I'm going to talk about a bullish one first because it seems much more obvious. At the moment, what is this? If you guys can spot this, tell me what this is, right? And I know there is this ball pennant, but that doesn't really matter but I want you to look past this, because this is how the market makers get retail traders to lose all of their money. What usually ends up happening is that retail traders are going to be looking at this like, oh, trendline support, and then they're going to put this stop loss right beneath the trendline support, or maybe they go long here because, trendline support, and this is a bull pennant, so it's going to break out, right? Not necessarily, because at the moment you have 1, 2, 3 relatively equal lows here, and relatively equal lows means that everyone is looking at this level as potential support. And when you have everyone looking at the exact same area for a level of potential support, that is when the market makers know that there is a lot of liquidity here. And guess what happens when there is liquidity there? The market makers come down to take it. Excellent. And guess what's lying right underneath the liquidity? This is a fair value gap that has not been filled. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I expect to happen is something like this, where you sweep all of these lows here, and then you fill in the fair value gap, and then you have a strong displacement to the upside with a potential small retracement that will confirm the move towards the upside and targeting, somewhere roughly in the range of 2.28. So that is the bullish situation. Basically, something like that, something like that, like that. But ideally, you want to break these highs in this move here, because just like that concept that I showed you just now, in a sell program, in a buy program, any sell-side liquidity sweeps tend to lead to explosive new high making. So once all of this sell-side liquidity has been taken, it should, right? If the market makers are truly trying to bring RUNE higher, it will be a very explosive move. Now, you can try for an aggressive entry right at this fair value gap here, maybe placing a trade at the start of the fair value gap, or even the middle of the fair value gap, and then placing the stop at the end or just slightly below the end of the fair value gap, for example. If you target 2.28, that's going to take a while to get hit, but if you go for something like 1.73, that is still a 10R trade that will happen relatively quickly, so long as the market makers are also in on the long plan. So that is the bullish situation on RUNE. And as for the bearish one, honestly, I already expect these lows to get hit, so what you'll just want to look for is a short down into this fair value gap. Now, that can happen either through just a slight fake move higher if we're going down, or simply just going down directly from here. As of the time that I'm recording this video, we will have a news event happening sometime in about 3 to 4 hours. That's going to be the CPI. It will be expected to come out bearish, so that is a bearish catalyst. So if you want, you can absolutely look for a short within the next few hours targeting this fair value gap here. But otherwise, it's a bit too early to tell whether or not it's going to go for the 0.9 level. Although if your bearish convictions are strong, then 100% you can just keep shorting it down to 0.94. In fact, the signs will be quite clear. If you break this area, right, and you don't form a new high, instead you break this area and you come up and get rejected and you form a new low. bro, that is all the confirmation that you need that the price is now in a bearish market structure. And when you're in bearish market structure, what do you reach for? Reach for liquidity. Most people make the mistake of thinking, oh, once you are bearish, okay, you're targeting an order block. No, the markets always move from areas of high liquidity to the next area of high liquidity. At the moment, this is the area of high liquidity, right? You have 1, 2, 3 key levels right around this area. These are levels that market participants are all looking at, and one could even say that there is even more liquidity down at 0.779. Of course, that is going to take quite a while to get hit, but either way, if you do get into bearish market structure, one of the first TPs, right, just as a temporary, sort of TP1, is if you draw a fib, so something like around that area would be a good TP1. It does line up with the 0.5 of the Fibonacci gap, so that's about 1.2. That's as a TP1. TP2 would be at the quarterly open at about $1-ish, and also $1 is a psychological number where people will look to set TPs there. So definitely take a little bit of profit right before them. Like, don't set it at 1, just set it like 1.02, 1.01, or even 1.03, whatever. That all works. But either way, that is the situation for RUNE, and hopefully by watching this video you have gained quite a few insights into how to actually read a chart and how to make a prediction and prepare yourself for whatever scenario that happens. And again, all of these concepts are taught for free, like absolutely for free, in my free trading course, Trading Accelerator. So if you're interested in that, we will be doing a new intake soon, so make sure you sign up to the waitlist down in the description box below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.